Hey, this is Tears of Skovrane. Skovrane, it's pronounced like that,
I think so.
correct? Yeah, okay,
Yep.
sounds good. And we're doing a new thing. So Connor is not free tonight for Laughing Shall We Die. But David and I have been talking a little bit David and I have been talking a little bit about doing a run of his TTRPG in progress. Called Bonds, and we've done a couple of playtests on this channel as like game-bound things, but we're gonna do a semi-frequent, I think. I certainly made overlays for them, so hopefully it is. Game of Bonds, set in the Hellbreaker universe. So, with the Hellbreaker sequence and Lavender Shadows and Death and Madness and all that other good stuff. Laughing Shall We Die? We're going to go in the future of the timeline a little bit for some fun space age shenanigans. The Hellbreakers, which you guys will probably learn more about than you have in any other show that we've done so far, are going to be on a very, very terrible planet that David and I concocted. And Jared and I are going to be playing as characters. So David is the GM, and yeah, we're gonna play some bonds, fight some giant fungus monsters, and I figure the two things we should start with is a pitch for the setting and a quick overview of Bonds itself. Which one would you like to start with, Dave? Maybe let's do the game first, and then we can do setting, and then that would lead us right into playing.
Yeah. So Bonds is basically a game about trying to allow characters and settings of any sort of color without sort of losing a lot of the narrative flavor, like a lot of games, the generic systems do. And so it's sort of about having building blocks to make your character whatever you want. And it's a D6 sort of pool system where your character you build a pool, try and get successes, sort of burning wheel style. For 4+ is a hit, and less than that is a miss. And you try and get enough successes. And yeah, it's also it's a narratively focused game. So we're going to be talking about narrative justification for things a lot, and sort of looking at what the character has and seeing what makes sense for what they can accomplish. So it's not quite like D&D where you can roll 20 and do anything, or if a spell says you can do something, you can just do it no matter what. It sort of relies on common sense as a pillar. So that'll also help us to explore the setting some as we sort of piece out what makes sense. And speaking of the setting, I think the pitch for the setting was basically Nausicaa meets Attack on Titan with some The Last of Us sprinkled in there for good measure. And there was a fourth. Oh, it's a Monster Hunter, just because there's a lot of big monsters.
Yeah.
And because the main faction of Hellbreakers is about killing those big monsters. So yeah, although to be fair, Attack on Titan
kind of covers that anyway.
Monster Hunter sort of,
I threw in Monster Hunter there to try to weave Jared in, Yeah.
And I mean, Jared's character, I think, will make this more a Monster Hunter than it would have been without him, which is fine. It's perfect. Yeah. So I don't know. Anything you want to add about the setting there, other than that elevator pitch?
Not necessarily. I'm sure we'll get into some of the details as we play.
Sure.
So
sounds good. Excellent.
Cool. Yeah. Where do we start here, David? What's going on?
So I think we sort of pan in from a gray sky, and it is raining lightly, and a heavy deluge just passed. Everything is wet, but there's just a light rain over some jungle canopy. And as we sort of pan through the canopy, we see a very dim glow and a bunch of dark shapes around it. As you get closer, we see the glow is not a fire, but like it's like a a polyhedral of some sort, basically shape. And it's glowing red, sort of like something that is, like if you cook on an electric stove, the metal rings glow sort of red hot. It's like that, but sort of dull. And around it are seated cloaked figures. And we pan down to one. What does Zion look like, Caleb?
That is a good question, actually. I hadn't thought too much about it. I probably should have picked like an actor or something to play him.
Oh, yeah.
I'm imagining Zion as probably dark hair. I mean, he's a Hellbreaker, so he's probably older than he looks, but I think he's still probably on the young side. Right? So a young elf, right? In that, right. Like the way that D&D does that, where it's just like you're 100 years old, and that makes you 16.
Right, yeah.
Or whatever, right?
Whatever you were doing for those 100 years, I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Hellbreakers is that they I think there is some sort of a balance between like being like they do actually age at a normal rate for humans, right? It's like you are actually 20 when you're 20, but there's kind of a stretching out probably of like young adulthood to elderly over like 1,000 or so years, right?
Yeah, I mean, you hit your ideal age or
pretty early
physical peak, I guess, and you stay there for a while. Doesn't go away.
Yeah. So
I assume that's how elves work. I mean,
probably.
Yeah. I don't think they're like Grogu where they're 50 and they're still a toddler.
Yeah. Yep. So I think he has dark hair. I think he's probably clean shaven. And he is wearing probably like you said, like they probably have like camo cloaks, right? Like
yeah. So everyone in this group, probably except maybe with the exception of our level C, is wearing like basically like a camouflage cloak, except for it's probably like a dynamic camouflage, like it shifts as you do kind of thing.
So that's good. Yep. So he's wearing, kind of probably at this point, like a dark brown, dark green sort of cloak. And I think he probably is wearing like a side saber. And kind of looks like I don't know. I'm imagining, I was just thinking about this today, with, what's it called? Xanatos, the original character that I think this guy's going to be a great grandson or whatever of him, right?
Right.
And I think I would always imagine him having like two kind of shorter blades, sort of like the Attack on Titan blades, where they're like they're not like curved or anything, but they're kind of like short, like sort carving blades. Yeah. And I think he has maybe like one of those. That sort of style of blade.
Almost like a cleaver kind of.
Yeah, like but a little bit more thin than that. So thin, but not super long. More like kind of like a machete, I guess, is the idea.
Like a boxy machete.
Yeah. Which I think fits the whole forest atmosphere, right? Yeah. So he has one of those, and he's probably. You said like we're all huddled over.
You're basically camping right now. This is just the Hellbreaker version of a fire. Yeah,
sure. Yeah. Wait, so I must have missed something because I was managing stream stuff. What did you describe it as?
Basically, there's like a polyhedral that glows sort of like the way that an electrical stove does when it's hot, but it's kind of a dull version of that. Sweet. So it's not giving off much light, but it's hot. Like you don't touch it. It's like a fire, right?
Yeah.
You can cook on it. You don't want to touch it, but yeah, it doesn't give you away nearly as badly as an open flame would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And so I'm huddled over there like everybody. I'm probably looking over. I don't think there's an aspect of this that isn't sci-fi, so I don't think I have like a data pad or anything like that. But I'm looking over some sort of notes that I have probably written down about whatever we're doing next. Huddled over with my hood over, trying to keep the rain off of my notes or whatever magical thing is that I have written. Right. So some whether or not it's an actual journal or whatever.
Yeah. It's probably like I'm imagining it's like a like not like a stone tablet and like a thick slab, but like like a thin sheet of metal or something that maybe like rolls up, and then when you unroll it, it's blank, and when you like touch it, you can sort of call to mind what like section you want to be in. It'll like write as though it'll fill in the page.
Yeah, I like that because I mean the one of the main things that's going on here is that the Hellbreakers are really good with like enchanting items. So it'd be easy to enchant something like that where it's just like the tome, the sheet of knowledge, and you can just put whatever knowledge you want on there.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I'm just like huddled over, like kind of mumbling to myself as I read through these notes.
Yeah, and then and sort of maybe not a 2-star contrast because I don't think you both have sort of similar physical frames, it seems like, based on your stats anyways. We pan over, but I think you said Zion was clean shaven, and I get the impression Arlo probably isn't. What does Arlo look like? What's he up to in camp here? You've been traveling for some time in pursuit of your quarry here, so you're in the middle of a journey here.
He's got a big bushy beard and unkempt hair. And
nice.
He's got probably like a more outdoorsy-esque getup as opposed to them with like the armor and all that.
You're really quiet, Jared.
Right.
I don't know if there's something. It doesn't sound like it's coming from the right mic. It might not be.
Yeah.
It didn't automatically switch my phone.
There you go.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah, we all have like that armor, right?
Yeah, so I imagine for most of them, it's kind of like it doesn't have to be like a skin suit, but it's probably, it's meant to be flexible, right? So it's like I sort of imagine it kind of like, have you seen Dune, the movie?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it's sort of like their still suits, but
okay.
Then
built to keep water out.
right, yeah, the opposite. Yeah. But visually, I imagine it's similar to that. And then you have sort of like but yours has been customized, so it doesn't have to be exactly that way.
It's he's covered in pelts of various hills.
Nice, yeah. I'm not sure how that makes it more agile.
What is the flora and what is sorry, not the flora, but what's the fauna like on this planet? Like, what kind of is it actual like furs or is it like hides that he's wearing?
Yeah, good question.
Right, like we know there's like big old monsters, but like, are they of the bear variety or
like hide and chitin? However you pronounce that. Which one?
Yeah, he's got like chitin plates like fused onto the.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, very cool. And you're probably all either wearing or like have in easy access some kind of like rebreather apparatus.
Just in case like, the spores are nearby. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably see that one hanging around Arlo's neck, and then it sort of contextualizes the lumpy sort of darkness past you. It is equal parts like jungle and overgrowth of like fungal stuff, right? You see sort of.
So are we in the kind of like a more clear forest right now, and then on the edge of a more toxic jungle sort of thing?
I think you're pretty solidly in the toxic jungle at this point because you've been traveling for some time in pursuit of this guy. So there are still like jungle trees, but they don't look like the coniferous trees that you would be comfortable being around. They've been warped and are mostly fungal. There's very little of the typical sort of deep green that you would hope to find, and much more
sickly
of the
yellow,
acidic, the corrosive looking stuff. And so I think we see an Asian looking man. Obviously, this is not Earth, so he's not from Asia, but he looks like he might be of that kind of descent. And he'd
be cast by a Japanese actor.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look obviously armed, but he's wearing the same getup that everyone else is. With him are, I don't know, how many scouts do you think are? It doesn't have to necessarily be your whole cadre that came with you, but how many came with you?
I feel like this is an important enough mission that we probably did bring all of them. So whatever.
Okay.
Or that maybe they're not all right here right now, but at the very least they're like some of them might be scouting ahead or whatever. But
right. And the other thing is that you want to avoid making too obvious of a presence, because if something intense were to find you, I mean, you don't have like a gun line, right?
Sure.
Because these aren't even like hunters; these are scouts with you.
Yeah.
So they would help, but they're not going to be.
What's my total
heavy.
capacity of the scouts? Right.
That's a good question. That brings up a lot of.
Because obviously, if it was like a whole bunch, I wouldn't bring like an army with me. But I guess I was assuming that it wasn't too large of a group that I had.
No, I mean, I imagine at most you probably have like 20 dudes.
Yeah, I was thinking 20. So.
And so, yeah, you could have brought all of them if you want.
Yeah, I think like for a mission that was a little bit more about like actually get like observing something secretively, we would have brought less people. But the idea here is like we're going to probably need all the force we can when we actually get into a battle situation. We're going to need like strength of arms. So
yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so there's probably actually multiple little sort of like
right as we zoom out, we see multiple.
Yeah. And yeah, I think from one of the other fires, this man sort of approaches. We see his face very dimly lit in this polyhedral light. And he sits down on like a overgrown stump. So like it might have been a stump of wood at some point, but now it's mostly like weird, moldy, like fungal flesh. And he sits down on it and says, I'm trying to think. So yeah, I think it's nighttime at this point, right? It's overcast, so it's hard to tell all the time, but it's dark enough that you can tell it's nighttime now. Nighttime is fast approaching. And he says, how would he refer to you? Is it my lord? Is it master? Is it
I mean, I probably do have some sort of official title, but I would probably not press being called it. Probably just like captain is fine, right? Like whatever my actual rank in the service here, the army here.
Yeah. So he says, Captain, did you want to stay here for the night, or are we pressing on?
And so I do kind of like a side-eye glance at Arlo, and this is something that you've been noticing for me, Jared, that whenever there's like a decision to be made, I like unconsciously kind of glance your way to try to gauge what you're feeling about the situation. I don't know if I've come right out and like asked for your advice or whatever, but I always seem like nervous to make a decision at the very least while you're around, because like you're more of a veteran than I am, and I'm just like, so I like glance for a second and pause just long enough for you to say something if you wanted to say something. But if like you just stand there all gruff and silent, then I would like say something.
And what exactly did he ask?
If they're staying here for the night, or if he wants to push on. And for context, you technically both have the same amount of authority in this mission, but I mean, Kai and his scouts technically they report to Zion. Yeah. So he only ever asks anything of Zion, even though you technically have equal authority in this mission. In a social order, technically Zion would like outrank you, but they were like, you two are co-leaders. Yeah. This is basically a 2-man mission, and one of the men brought 20 men with him. Right? Like that's kind of how it is. So you're basically partners right now, and he has backup. So you could speak up here, and it wouldn't be like you're breaching your authority or whatever.
I don't think we want to camp here. We're open on all sides. That's a death sentence here.
That seems wise. Well, do you know of anywhere nearby, Arlo, that we could find some shelter? We still have a little bit of a distance to go before we reach the destination.
I roll acuity.
Do you want to like know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have sort of scouted around, ironically, as the only non-scout in the group, and tried to find a more
I think the idea here
place.
probably is, right, like that he's just been around so much.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I think that can be an acuity roll. Okay. So we'll do our first roll here. So that's acuity. And then obviously you have tracker and trapper. I feel like you have plenty of justification to be able to do this. To actually have an idea of what would be a good place. I don't think you've got any assets that really, unless maybe your Titan Slayer suit is agile. So if you were flying around and looking, I mean, that's kind of a high profile move. You might draw attention that way.
It's also subtle.
Yes, that's true. But being in the air isn't, right?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like flying around in a jet, but someone might spot you still. Basically, if you roll poorly here, someone might know that you did this if you include those
Mhm.
those elements in your roll.
And what other things are you able to add into there?
So there are a couple other ways to get dice. So if there are any tags, I guess, on the scene that are relevant. So for instance, like if it's nighttime, you try to stealth, like the darkness would be a thing, right?
Okay.
Or if somebody created an advantage a la fate, right? So that's the thing you could also, and you could create your own advantage. You could create an advantage to be stealth and then have looked around, right? If you'd like to do that, you can make 2 rolls.
Do traits and occupations give you dice or just justification to be that you do stuff, that you're able to do something?
Yeah, so it has changed a lot in between iterations. So currently, occupations are just a narrative justification to sort of what you know how to do.
Okay.
And your traits, they can be compelled and invoked like in Fate. The mechanical use for them is that if you invoke them, you can reroll any failed, or basically you reroll as many dice as you want on a roll, right? After you've rolled. Obviously, that's how rerolls work. And so it's instead of just getting a +2 like in Fate, it's kind of like a call on in Burning Wheel instead. But it costs a bond point, which I forgot you have 3 of those. Character sheets. So that's that. So do you want to have tried to, how did you go about this? Were you sort of just speed and aerial movement, or were you trying to be stealthy?
I'm going to try to be extra stealthy.
All right. So we'll create an advantage here first, and then we can make your proper roll. So, so that would be, I'm guessing also acuity probably, especially in this case. And I don't think any of your other stuff helps you there. So just straight acuity.
Would subtle for my tags help for that? That's subtle.
Question. Yeah, sure. Because I mean, you also have like a camouflage cloak on it, so yeah, why not? And so in this version, I know again this has changed a lot. If your asset applies, I told you this already. Yeah, you get a dice, and then you get more dice if the tags are helpful also. So yeah, looking at 4 dice. And I mean, I don't think you've alerted anybody yet as your presence here. That is you're aware, as far as you're aware.
2, 5, 4, 5. No idea what that means.
Oh, what? Oh, gotcha. Actually, go ahead and roll another 2 more dice, because one of those should have been a die of fate, and the other one is for it being dark.
Yeah.
All right. So usually, just for your guys' reference, I always just take the first die and count that as a die of fate.
Okay.
So you got a 2, and this will just be a regular. I'm just gonna put it 2d6 here. All right. Oh my goodness. All right. So the way that the die of fate works is it always generates a success for somebody. So the active player rolls it, but if it's a failure for you, it's actually a success for the other team, the other person. And if it's a success for you, then it's a success. So it's a free die, but it doesn't always help. And if it's a 1, it's particularly bad. And if it's a 6, it's particularly good in a way that doesn't matter yet.
And David, these are, you might have already said this, but these are like Burning Wheel successes, right? Where it's like,
yes.
So
4+ is a hit and 3- is
so in the future, Jared, you can just put greater than 4 at the end of it, and we'll tell you the amount of successes, instead of having to count them up yourself. So
your difficulty rounded up to 1 success. I actually got no successes in my roll, but you generated 1 for me with the die of fate. Then you got 3 successes. So you are 2 over the difficulty roll, which is not 3. So you don't succeed with style, but you do succeed. So if you go ahead and look at your moves handout that I made 2 seconds ago, this is the create advantage move. Or create a tag, I guess it's called now. So when you attempt to create a tag on a character or scene that you have the means to reasonably achieve, and you do, in this case, you're trying to be hidden, and you got a standard success. You did not have advantage on the roll. I'll talk about advantage when it comes up. So you create a 1d6 tag. So you have. Because I don't actually know where to put this. I'll just put it on the Roll20 page here. If I can remember how to make text. Here we go. I mean, this is really going to matter for the one time, but just so we get the hang of how this works. Cool. Can I make this white text, please? Thanks, Roll20. All right. So you are hidden, which is 1d6. All right. So you've earned yourself an extra die on your thing. So go ahead and you're doing your scouting now. So, and I mean, again, you're being stealthy, so I assume you weren't flying around and whatnot. So go ahead and take acuity for that, like we discussed, and then this is still you trying to not be detected and stuff. So you can take Titan Slayer for this one too. But
so then basically what I rolled last time, but +1.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, I think that the darkness. Actually, I don't know if the darkness helps or hinders here because you're trying to find something in the dark. So I think in this case, the darkness is actually a detriment, and I'm going to get the dark die here, or the die for darkness. So you'll just roll your 4 plus your 1 for hidden plus 1 for the die of fate. So you're at 6. And I'm going to be rolling the 3 instead of 2, basically. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. So you got, pardon me, 3 successes, and I got 3 successes. So this is this was an overcome roll, which is another one of the moves. So we'll go ahead and find that in here. Overcome. All right. You got a standard success, or I'm sorry, you got a cost of success. You achieve part of your intent, granting your opponent a major compromise. So you find a place. What kind of place is Arlo looking for? What sort of
probably like
shelter?
An abandoned cave.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I guess this was sort of a flashback, right? Like you'd had already scouted for this, is that right? Or are you leaving now to do that? What does that look like in the narrative?
He probably knew there was one in the area from previous missions, just not exactly where.
Okay. Yeah, so you see Arlo, it's like, yeah, I think I know where one is, and he sort of goes to determine where it is. So he's gone for like a few minutes. Do you do anything, Zion, in the meantime?
Good question. Well, I probably review my notes because that's what I was doing before, right? Like, so I looked back down at the sheet that I was glancing over. And I guess maybe can I make a roll to create a tag, just to basically be like more knowledgeable about the situation we're about to run up against, so I have like an advantage.
Yeah, sure. You want to see how much knowledge you have about your target?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure, sounds good. So, I mean, that sounds like willpower to me. It's sort of like the retaining knowledge kind of thing. So, because this would have been like research previously, right? Pardon me, not right? Is that correct?
I guess if that's
you haven't actually.
I was gonna say if that's what willpower typically is, then I might need to change these stats because.
Okay. You can do that if you like. Yeah, willpower is like research and retaining information.
Yeah.
Whereas acuity is like.
I think he would be reasonably good enough at it that I'll probably just go back to being a 2 and everything.
All 2s. Okay, that's fine. Here, let me adjust your boxes here, or your clocks. Cool. Yeah. So willpower.
Cool. So yeah, willpower, and then what possible bonuses am I looking at then, or?
I'm trying to think. So this is you're basically looking at accounts that you received from the people who determined that this was a thing, right? So from the what are they called? The followers of the dead gods. What was the faction's name?
Oh,
It's
well,
on here
yeah, the
somewhere, I
faction
think.
name from Legacy was Servants of the One True Faith, or
Yes,
Servants of the True Faith,
right.
or whatever it is. But
So they probably have
yeah,
a
I'm sure
different-
they have some other name than that.
Yeah.
But
So the devout basically that discovered this quarry gave you reports, and then there's probably been cursory scouting into the region
Sure.
by the Hellbreakers, like sort of not pinpointing, but generalizing where they think it is, just confirming what those devout had said. So I don't think there's anything getting you dice here, but I think that you're doing this with advantage because there's been a lot of legwork going into this already.
yeah, we wouldn't even have staged a mission like this without that.
Right.
So yeah.
Exactly. So now that we're doing a roll with advantage, what that means is, unlike D&D, this doesn't mean like you roll an extra time, you're more likely to succeed. It means if you succeed, you get more out of it. Right.
Got it.
So this is basically like, if you have advantage on an attack, you hit harder if you land it. Right. So we're going at 2 willpower. And we can.
I was gonna say like something like magic mystery, whatever. What was my trait? Magical mystery investigator. That's the sort of thing I would spend a bond point on. Correct? Not.
Yes, and that would be to re-roll if you had failed dice. I think that also your Hellbreaker scouts probably count here because they've been gathering information in the region too.
Cool.
So we'll call that. So we'll call it 3, and then 4 because you got the die of fate.
Oh yeah, okay. I forgot you start with that.
Yeah.
Cool. Already.
So just going to be another
46.
generic difficulty.
Okay.
So you're gonna want. Oh, I got 0 successes. So as long as you don't give me any successes to the die of fate, which you did, but that's okay. So you gave me a success with a 1, and it's a 1, so that's important. But you did succeed, so you got 3 to 1. So it's not a success or like a critical success.
Yeah.
But you did have advantage on the roll. So now we'll pull out the handout.
So die of fate is always the first die.
Yeah, that's how I do it on this, just because there's no other way to do it. So when you create a tag and you get a standard success, you had advantage. So you see where success, there's a success section. That's what you got because you didn't get more than 3. And then it has a different result for advantage, standard, and disadvantage. So when you have advantage on a normal success, you get to pick to either have a 1d6 tag or a temporary 2d6 tag. The temporary 2d6 tag basically be like, you could use it once or like for a short period of time when it's relevant. So it wouldn't go away in like 2 minutes, but it would be a temporary benefit for whatever reason. Whereas a 1d6 tag will stick around until it's narratively irrelevant. Right. So technically a standard tag could be gone pretty quickly depending on how the narrative pans out, but it could also stick around for the whole time.
I think I'll go with a temporary 2d6. Let's go with that one.
All right. So we've got...
You know me, David, in role-playing games. High risk, high reward, you know?
There you go, yeah. So we got, like what's called a mission briefing or something, right?
I'm actually realizing now what a terrible combination me and Jared as the only PCs are, because we're both just like, let's go like as hard as possible.
Right. That's fine. This is a short form thing, so that's all right. If you all die, then
fair enough.
Just make new characters. No, okay. It'd be very Attack on Titan of you to die in the first episode.
Very true.
Great. Now, here's another little thing that happened. You rolled a 1 on the die of fate. So not only does that give me a success, there's also a twist. And there's been enough iterations of those that I have to look at something. A twist. Oh my. All right, let's see. I just gotta find what that means now. All right. No, what? Okay. So that's old. I opened the wrong document. I've recently changed how twists work. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right version of this mechanic. I apologize to the chat. As you might have imagined, this isn't in development game. So
we have Josh Lang in chat. apparently he's out of he's not at work today, so he's getting to watch it all. So,
well, thank you for joining us. Okay, so a 1 grants their opponent the option to trigger one of the active player's drawbacks on a relevant asset, generate a boost, or suggest a twist. So let's see, what assets do you have here that might have some relevant? Probably not.
So walk me through again what's happening right now.
So you rolled the die of fate. It got a 1. So anything that's 3 or less on the die of fate is a success for me, but a 1 is also it's a negative twist, right? So something more happens. And now I'm trying to remember what I was looking for. I'm looking for your character sheet. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for it on roll 20 because I'm so used to that. And I'm like, where's your character? All right. Yeah, none of your drawbacks make sense to trigger here or like bring in. So I think I'm just going to generate a boost, which basically just means I'll get 1 die, something random. This is like fate, right? So I'll put it on the left side of the screen. I've got a boost. Right. Yeah. So what do we see as you're flipping through this mission briefing, right? On screen? How does that look?
Yeah, I mean, as you described, is like a metal sheet that I can basically like call up knowledge on, and I'm basically just like, it probably looks like scrolling through a phone or a tablet or something, because of, like, I bring up all of these like probably shining letters, and then I'm just like panning down them and like highlighting words that I think are important, and just generally, like, we see stuff like words like malavim and weakness and that sort of stuff come up, right? So mainly I'm looking for like, we know what our target is. What do we actually know about both the spore infestation and malavim themselves that could come in handy when we're trying to subdue this one?
Yeah, and I think for the sake of the audience who either probably can't read the Hellbreaker language on screen or just doesn't feel like it,
it looks probably really like a vague fantasy Hebrew.
Yeah, and we get some convenient illustrations that would never be in a mission briefing, but are there because we have an audience. And so, you see like...
well, when you have magic, you can really easily draw those stuff,
Yeah, you just sort of... It just projects from your brain. You just have to be careful what you're thinking about when you're writing. Yeah, so...
Your mind wanders and suddenly...
this doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. It's just, chicken randomly appearing in the...
Indeed.
Get hungry. So yes, you see it looks sort of like a very detailed, like expanded image of a spore, but that it's not. These spores are just very large, and it has sort of a 1 bloodshot eye in the center of it, and it's on fire, and it doesn't seem to be enjoying it very much. And this is sort of in the weaknesses section. So the audience knows now what the Hellbreakers know, which is that, as you might imagine, fungus doesn't like to be set on fire. And so as you keep, panning down, you see some images of, you see a scale chart of like one of the fallen gods in relation to like a person, and then like a monument in the city, and then the Titan, right? So it's sort of a comparison in scale. So we get an idea of what sort of things are. Like
I like to think this is like an opening credits montage at this point, right? Where we're seeing all these schematics and stuff as the dramatic music plays, and we skip back and forth between like the Hellbreakers tearing down camp and Arlo going through the forest trying to find the exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I'll cut to Arlo in a second to describe that too. So you scroll further and you see, for your particular mission, you see like a sort of a region map with like a circle around it, right? And then just a sloppy red circle sort of around a section of jungle, and then an image of. So this image was written based on a description, but a vaguely like crab-like almost sort of thing. It seems like it has kite. Is it chitin or chitin?
I think it's chitin.
Chitin. You see, he has sort of chitin on him, but I mean, kind of everything does. That was probably just artistic license, and you don't know how accurate this visual is, but there's a size comparison there too. And this one it's about twice as big as a person, maybe a little more, but it's much less daunting than the Titan who was dwarfing the building, right? And there's some notes on it. They're like in I mean, I don't know if they'd be in English, but basically, like, it's implied that this is more than a, they don't care if you kill it. So it's not like do not destroy, but it's like, observe the destruction of this carefully, right? We need to learn something from this, like critical information or whatever. And then, as we see you, flipping through those diagrams, we see the rest of the scouts sort of picking up camp. And then we cut to Arlo sneaking through the jungle. And we see sort of just general, like, there's clouds of sort of vapor everywhere. We see you wearing your mask because you're moving. And so you're likely to disturb something that might injure you. Like, you might inhale it, right? It might kill you. So we see you with your mask up. We probably see like a like hanging growth of like bumpy mass coming off of a tree, and you clock it and you move around it. The camera sort of cuts to its near it as you're circumnavigating it, and we see like those little eyes, like I mentioned earlier, sort of just moving around. And so you're dodging these evil spores, right? These intelligent spores. And then you find a low sort of cavern, basically.
I love how David makes everything look like yokai. That's his go-to for weird, creepy monsters.
Exactly. So then we see. Did you do anything when you arrived? What do we see when you find this place? You're separated from the group right now.
Take out a flamethrower, just douse the whole cave just in case.
Yeah.
You probably make sure it's still empty.
You take a peek inside. You hold out a light or something just to sort of scan through it. And, probably like a shrouded, like a hooded light. So it's not just bathing the whole place in light. It doesn't look very deep, but it does look uninhabited. As we see you turn, the rain sort of picks up. And actually, I forgot you got a costly success here. So I think what we see is it looks uninhabited, but not like it has never been inhabited. Like we see sort of dried, cracked bones in one corner, and some like sort of refuse here and there of like sort of like bestial living, right? Not intelligent living, as far as you can tell. So whatever lived here looks like it's not home. It could come back, but I mean, it's up to you whether or not that's a risk you want to take. So we see you turn back towards camp to let them know you found.
Is everything on this planet infected, or are there some like animals that are resistant?
Oh yeah. So I mean, the jungle itself is like, it's a poisonous jungle. It's been spread by like a corrupting influence, but there's still animals. And I mean, most of them probably have some kind of corrupting influence in them too, but there's plenty of regular animals. There's plenty of regular plants. You probably can't eat anything in this jungle without like boiling it first or something, right? Okay. But you could eat stuff and you could forage. It's just, it takes a lot of preparation because most of the stuff is poisonous initially. Same thing with like the animals, right? I mean, there's plenty of animals who wouldn't attack you on sight. They just run away. There's an ecosystem here, just like there would be in any other jungle. It's just all kind of dangerous to interact with on a natural level. Because it's just very corrosive in general.
He's gonna set up a baited trap like right in front of the entrance.
Okay, sweet.
To try and catch some dinner.
Sounds good. Do you turn back or do you after that? Or okay. So we see you turn back, and then we cut back to the camp. And Zan, go ahead and give me I mean, you're still in your notes, right? So I think I'm trying to think. We'll call it standard. I'll just make it more difficult. So go ahead and give me basically it's going to be like a perception check, right? So this will be acuity.
Okay.
Something.
Yes, the thing I just
sneaking
made
up on you.
lower.
Right, yeah. And then take your Hellbreaker Scouts and Monster Hunting for both of those two, because they are with you. And both of those things are relevant. I assume you're not singing a perception song at the moment, right?
No, I don't think I
Okay.
do it just like instinctively. So
Right, yeah. So that's 4 dice plus the die of fate, so 5.
Okay.
I'm going to roll. So this is. So, all right. So sorry, I was trying to figure
3
out
successes for me.
Nice, and die fate came out good, so that's good. All right. Here's your opposed roll. Also 3 successes.
Oh,
okay. But I used the boost on that, so I will go ahead and delete that. And goodness, I have so many tabs. Why did I do this? Okay.
Welcome to my life, David.
Yeah. So this was an overcome.
That's why I
You
had
got
4
a
monitors at
caustic
one
success.
point.
Right, yeah. So basically something is sneaking up on you. You detect it in time for I guess I'll let you choose. So either you can tell, you can see in time to alert other people and like your scouts, or you can see it in time to like basically you can either help your scouts or help yourself, right? You can either just throw yourself out of the way of whatever's coming, or you can warn them, but you're more likely to be at personal risk then.
Yeah, I think for flavor reasons, right, for like character development arc stuff, I think I'll save myself.
Save yourself, yeah.
Yeah, and
right.
probably feel guilty about it afterwards.
Right. So I'll give you'll get an action this round basically, or rather, I guess you'll get to react in a not disadvantaged way. But your scouts won't help you at all, right? And they might get attacked. So we'll see how that goes. And I mean, mechanically, they're just an asset on your sheet. So
yeah.
And I have waffled between whether or not progress tracks as from stress can be targeted or not. And currently I think that they can be. But in this instance, I don't think it makes sense to actually no, because there's probably 2 groups. So yeah, I will do that. So here we go. They what am I looking for? Here we go. Okay, so you hear the shuffling, like almost the scraping of chitin on against the sort of fleshy forest jungle floor, and you turn around and see it's the shape of a human, but their body looks sort of like it's covered in coral, kind of almost. And if you imagine like a half bowl of coral rests on their shoulders where their head should be, and there's just like a red orb resting in the center of that, right? And almost like they have one of those like Elizabethan plumes behind them, like on a dress, except for it's coral, and instead of a head, they've got this red like pearl basically, but it's like got a fungal fleshiness to it. It's not actually solid, like hard. But it does kind of glint a little. So maybe.
And did you say this was like humanoid or quadruped?
Humanoid.
Okay.
These are, I mean, there's probably different variations of them, but this is basically a fungus zombie, the fungal dead, right? They are just people who have been killed and their corpses have basically been overgrown by corrupting spores. Mm-hmm. They are similar to zombies for our own perspective in that they're they're not mindless, but they are needlessly aggressive, right? They're an extension of the jungle's will to kill things that aren't it, right? Yeah, I guess you see two groups of them basically. One of them is coming at you, sort of in your direction, and the other is coming towards the scouts. And yes, you have time to basically react properly, and they do not. So now let's see. Initiative is sort of a thing I have yet to square away. Basically, my intention is to favor whatever narratively makes sense, and if there's a contest there, it's basically just like an acuity roll, and then initiative alternates from there. So in this case, I think they've earned their the initiative at least. So they're going to take the first turn, but you get to react normally, right? You're not at a disadvantage here for your own defense. So yeah, basically, I guess like three of these zombie things just lunge at you, right? And you see them in time to be able to react. And yeah, they're basically just trying to mob you. What do you narratively? I guess we'll start there first. So they basically just lunge towards you. You take the time to move before you shout. Anything helpful. And how do you try and evade their attack?
Yeah, I think it's probably a matter of. Did you say they were coming from like behind me? Or like what direction are they coming from?
Yeah, they basically shambled out of the woods.
Okay, yeah.
And actually from the direction that Arlo.
Right. Okay. So I think probably what it is like we see me like go looking through all the shining letters on my weird little magic tablet thing, and then I get to like the end of a page or something, right? So like it's blank for a moment, and that's the moment where I notice the reflection behind me.
Yeah.
And immediately just like drop the thing and just like roll. Like duck and roll and just start off into a sprint like in the opposite direction, or like a short sprint in the opposite direction to get to something I can hide behind or something. It's just like instinct, just duck, roll, run, without thinking like to warn anyone. I'm just like panicking.
Right. Sounds good. All right. So they are going to attempt to create an advantage to restrain you. And you can defend with your acuity that you're trying to basically just hoof it. But there's three of them, so they get a little bit of help here. I think in this case, it's probably acuity because they didn't like have their hands on you and you're trying to escape. And that's worse for them than working. Mm-hmm. So got...
then I'm rolling acuity as well.
Yeah, let me check your... So
1, 2, 3.
Their roll is. Oh, sorry. There should have been one more roll or dice there for the die of fate. Okay, they rolled badly. Yes, your character sheet's on a different page for some reason. Okay.
I'm not sure anything here is helping me.
Yeah, acuity. Yeah.
It's probably just acuity with die of fate. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Does your character have the instinct to sing combat songs as like a reflex? Is that like a thing you
because
do?
I have my drawback of like the imposter syndrome and whatnot. So like it doesn't come. I'm still worried about it failing, and it's not coming naturally to me. I think like in actuality, I'm like perfectly fine at it. It's just that I'm not
you just don't
confident
believe
in
you
it.
are. Yeah. Right. Okay. So then, yeah, probably just your acuity then.
Cool.
Let's go ahead and roll.
Only one success, and the die of fate was a 1.
So they're attacking you. So the die of fate is actually on their roll.
I see.
So actually, just ignore that 1 basically because you rolled 3 dice. And yeah. So you actually get a success because their die of fate was a 3. So
sure. Okay.
And so the acting roll.
So basically, the die of fate is like whose side does this benefit?
Yeah, it's always 2-sided. I just have the active person roll it just because for consistency's sake. So yeah, you actually have 2 successes, and then they got 1. So you beat them. So yeah, I mean and I mean this, nothing extra happens here, but just for the sake of everybody watching, that was when someone rolls overcome, create a tag, or advance as an active character, their reacting character rolls resist. Sometimes they roll overcome if they're just like competing, but usually they roll resist, and that is basically just you keep them from doing a thing.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's always resist because it would be the same for overcome. You just keep them from doing what they want. If you roll really well, you can actually, hinder them in some way, right?
Yeah.
In response, but you just got a standard success. So you deny your opponent their intent. That's the thing for that. And there's no advantage or disadvantage on resist, because if you had advantage, then they have disadvantage, right? It's the same. So only the active player worries about that. And I would have made it with advantage if you hadn't succeeded at noticing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So classic zombie movie trope, right? They shamble towards you and reach out, and you just book it, and they're they claw at your cloak, but they don't get you. I think
I probably just like dive behind like some sort of like half petrified tree that's like in the middle of whatever small clearing we've managed to carve out for ourselves here, and just like duck behind it, like breathing heavily. Yeah. And that's the moment where I just say, they're here,
Yeah. Yep. I normally would swap to you in initiative, but I think this is basically like a surprise round for them. So they're going to also attack the scouts. So the way this works, and not sure if I'm currently happy with this, but basically they're going to target the stress of the Hellbreaker scouts as though they were a progress track.
Okay. So
because the advance move does damage or progress track segments in the same amount, right? Damage and progress are the same. The issue I have with that as a current setup, just for clarity, is that most assets, if they succeed at all, they're just gone, right? That does 2 damage. Standard success does 2 damage, and that would be 2 ticks, and you only have 1 tick. So it would they wouldn't all die. And maybe that's what it is, right? In this kind of case, they would just break cohesion, right?
Yeah, they become useless as an asset.
Being useful, yes. And I can decide based on the narrative if they're all killed, or if, how hard it is to get them back, basically, right?
Yeah.
In this case, chances are pretty good. You would just have to collect them, and then you could use them again. Whereas if they were like blown up, you would have to go and like recruit more, right? And it would be much more difficult, take more time. So I'm gonna play it this way, and we'll see how this works. Because, and we can talk about sort of my stuff with that some other time. But yeah, so let's see. They're gonna do sort of the same deal here. Oh wait, what was right? So it was 5. All right, so the zombies get 1 success. Not doing very. Actually, they get 1 success and I guess they didn't roll a die of fate, but I'm not worried about it. Yeah, so the die of fate actually was bad for them, and of and a crap, what's it called? Twist. Anyways, so the scouts then. So if NPCs are rolling for themselves, what they do is they use their quality. So it starts at 1.
Yep.
And then any tags that help them, and then any other stuff that goes on. And I think if you're there to lead them, they can use your presence too, as a leader, right?
Nice.
Because I wanted that to be a thing where like you could be like your whole thing is that you have goons, and your stats help them by being a good leader. In this case, I don't think I'm going to let that happen, because you intentionally didn't like call out to them. But normally you'd be able to add your presence. So they get 1 from being Hellbreaker Scouts, their quality. They get 1 from monster hunting. That's what they do. So they're working with 2. But they already have 1 success from my bad roll. So let's see what they get. They get 1 success. So they are 2 to 1, just like you. So and they also have, there's a lot of them. So really, they probably would have, the zombies probably would have been working at disadvantage here because they're actually outnumbered. So anyways, it didn't matter. They didn't succeed. So yeah, you hear Kai goes, there's probably like a slang for this. What do we think what do you guys call zombies? Fungus zombies. What do you
Oh
think?
man, that's a good question. There definitely would be. Oh, Jared, you're muted if you had an idea.
Funyuns. Fungus.
That might be like, when clones call robots clankers. You've probably got like insults for them, but there's probably also like a
like
more
an
serious
actual kind of. It's still slang, but
feel free to call them bunions, Arlo. I won't hold that against you. But there's probably a more appropriate name, something like Kai, that Kai, as a more professional individual, might call it.
Yeah, I really don't know, because the idea is they are zombies, but they're fungal zombies, and they're like demon possessed fungal zombies.
Right. Yeah.
So that is a. That's a whole.
Maybe it's corrupted. I mean, it doesn't roll off the tongue very well.
Corrupted. Yeah, corrupted is kind of boring.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty generic.
What about?
I think some coral based language.
Yeah, I was thinking like corroded doesn't make sense, but maybe I'm thinking of that sort of like acidic corroded sort of language.
Right.
Oh, it was like you said corrupted, and I was thinking we could go like faded. I like the idea of like being an ED word, something about like their state.
Yeah. Yeah, faded works. We can go with that. I mean, they're also very like gaunt compared to a person, right? Because they have all these gaps like in a coral where there should just be skin and there's not. So it does kind of look a little bit like a person just dried up. And then
let me I'm gonna look up synonyms for this real quick.
Yeah, that's what I always do.
And we'll see if anything makes sense.
Yeah. While you're doing that, Kai yells out, zombies basically, but what we come up with here.
Yeah.
And then you see immediately all of them sort of snap to attention, drop their pots and pans or whatever they had. We see some
defiled. Defiled.
There you go.
Let's call them that. Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a little note of that. Zombies.
Right, because that has a more of a wet sound than, right?
Yeah. There you go. A little more Davy Jones locker kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Good stuff. All right. And you see them all snap too. They go for weapons, and visually they're just kind of fighting them off, right?
Yeah.
They think they have basically like carbine versions of the proper hunters, like big rifle thing.
Sure.
And so that you probably see some flashes of
super
of red
heated.
and
Yeah,
and they're just kind of or not pistol whipping, but like rifle butting.
Yeah.
People. So just sort of a skirmisher, and there's only 3 of them there too, right? So you do outnumber them pretty significantly here. And I got a 1 I think so. I think we'll go to you first. So what do we see from Zion now that you've taken cover?
Yeah,
here?
I think there's a moment where like I'm like laying back against this petrified tree stump thing, and I'm just like breathing really heavily for a moment, and I'm like, get yourself together, and I'm saying this as I like take out my like machete short sword thing, and then just like grit my teeth, jump to my feet, and start singing a combat song, basically.
Nice.
So the Song of Fury or Song of the Sword or whatever, that sort of thing.
Cool. Do you have like a pistol too? Are you like a pistol and sword guy? Is that like the officer style, like in the Revolutionary War kind of thing, or is it just sword? I'm just curious.
Might work.
They're minor assets either way, so it doesn't really matter too much. I'm just curious, stylistically, what we're going for here.
Yeah,
we're like a duelist, or we're like an officer, like a gunline officer. Or
that is a good question. I could see it going either way.
I mean, you certainly would have access to that kind of stuff.
Right, I know. Yeah,
you are.
Something about like having like a laser the superheated pistol in this. This makes it seems too like swashbuckly.
Fair.
Right. So I think I'll just go with a rifle. And
Maybe
you have a suggestion?
I was gonna say maybe your sword has like can heat up, but
I think that was my idea anyway. Right? Is that it has just like a superheated edge?
Okay, yeah, and I think it's maybe it's like old, like an antique, or it's a little damaged. I don't think because basically you could make your sword an asset sometime and give it tags, and it would be like dope. So I think it's kind of like average, but I mean that for this setting, that's superheated stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Is average.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you could make it like cool later.
Yeah, I'd say I probably have a rifle too, but it's like with my stuff right now, right? So I'm just gonna like charge and stab someone.
Yeah. So I think we see like, I mean, let me know if you had different visual for this in mind, but I imagine like, I sort of imagine that like if you saw sheet music for Hellbreakers, that it would be very sort of like almost flowing in some way. Like you probably wouldn't be just like straight bars. And so I imagine almost like sheet music sort of designs in the sword, like sort of glow, and then the whole blade heats up.
Yeah.
Like basically like someone engraved a song into it, kind of.
Yep. Like it.
Cool. All right.
I'd say the actual song that I'm singing probably, if you had sheet music for it, would feel a little bit more blocky and gruff because it's a combat song, so it's more of like a chant and a.
Right.
It's like the sort of song that you would imagine a bunch of manly soldiers singing as they marched or something, right? Like,
like a war drum.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Good stuff.
Yeah, so it's full of lyrics in the the language about a heavenly city and purity and purifying fire and that sort of stuff, right?
Nice, yeah. So are you trying to create an advantage with this song, or do you just want to do some attacks? Either way, so like if you create an advantage with it, you'll have like created an effect, and so you get more dice. You still get your.
I think I'll just go with like the attack and then just like quote unquote fork it in because that's what I'm doing in the meantime. Yeah.
Now, are you attacking the group that went after you, or are you attacking the group that your people are fighting off?
I didn't know there was a difference.
There's two groups of three, so they're small groups, but
I see.
Yeah, so one of those groups attacked you. Basically, it's
what are the group that attacked me doing then? Maybe I didn't.
They're pursuing you.
I see. Okay, yeah. So I probably then turn around, or like grit my teeth, grab my sword, and turn around, and they're about to be on me, and that's when I just try to like chop off an arm and like just like I'll attack the ones that are attacking me.
Cool.
Because otherwise, I'm just going to bring more zombies to my other people. They can handle. They can obviously handle themselves. As we've learned.
All right.
Cool.
So and they're basically just throwing themselves at you, so they're just gonna like take it to the face, which isn't really a thing they can do. So you're gonna, I think we'll call this a straight roll because they outnumber you, but they're also not doing a good job of defending themselves. So we'll sort of cancel out the disadvantage, consideration there, and we'll just call it straight. So you get. Let's see, let's go to your stuff here. Why do I keep going to roll 20 to look at your character?
Is this still acuity?
It depends on your fighting style, right? I mean, you have.
I would think so, right? Like it's not me like stonewalling anyone. It's up to you, obviously, but it doesn't seem like I'd be like stonewalling or like making a huge like combat presence in that sense.
Well, my hesitation is that you describe it as basically like a machete.
Yeah,
which
that's fair.
I don't imagine as being a very graceful. I mean, even like a long sword, I think most people would use like acuity to fight with in my mind. But I think a machete is probably closer to like.
It doesn't really matter. I have a 2 in everything, so yeah.
Yes, right, exactly. I just for sake of. And I mean, I guess
I'm just like making really sharp, jagged motions and just trying to like chop them in half and
them into pieces. Right. Yeah. Cool stuff. So you get 2 for that. You got your combat song. Your scouts are sort of tied up at the moment. So Hellbreaker songs on its own is a dice, so it's 2 for that.
Yeah.
Hellbreaker song, combat songs.
So 5d6 then.
That's probably it. So then, yes, 5, but you actually need another one because they have a drawback, which is combustible.
Yep,
They're
yep,
made
yep.
out of spores and stuff.
All right, I got 4.
All right. So they basically are just trying to bowl you over despite being hacked into pieces.
Yeah.
So they got fortitude. There's 3 of them. And then they do have armor. It's just so basically cancel that. They still get that. So, oops. All right. They got 3 successes. But yeah, you didn't give them one. That's part. So 4 and 3. So you had a standard success here. So if we look at the moves, this is an advanced move, which is basically just to make progress on something. In this case, they're dying.
Yep.
You didn't get 3 over them, so it's not a great success. It's just a normal success. And you didn't have advantage because they were outnumbering you.
Yep.
So you inflict 2 damage. So the way that groups work is they don't have consequences like normal characters do. They just have progress tracks, stress, basically. And each chunk of stress is a guy. So you kill 2 of the 3 here, which also means that they lose some bonuses, so they will be easier to fight later. And he doesn't technically outnumber you anymore, so you just significantly reduce the threat of this group. So what does that look like? I mean,
I'd say I turn around and one is just reaching around the tree stump for me, and I just like chop off an arm, right, and then kind of like duck and kind of like maneuver around that one while they're looking down at their like chopped off arm, and go behind him, stab him in the back, right, push him off my blade, and then just like turn in another motion and chop off one's head, right, just like
nice. There you go.
And I'm just like standing there with like
blade into its pearl
gross
thing.
Whatever blood they have all over me, right?
Actually, yeah, and that's probably not safe, but
but I'm probably just like gritting my teeth and trying to keep it out of my mouth, just like
yeah,
There
you go, very nice. And so I would have had a roll, Jared, from you to see how quickly you get here, but I rolled a 1 on my stealth thing for the twist. So the twist is you bust out into the clearing at this moment. What do we see from Marlowe? You basically they're in time to watch Zion chop 2 of these guys into pieces, and the rest of the scouts are, I mean, they significantly outnumber these guys, but they were taken off by surprise, and there's 20 of them, so they can't just blast into each other, right? They're actually kind of a hindrance to their ability to kill these guys with guns, and especially because the guns kind of explode. So these are probably less intense versions, but so yeah, where do you want to focus your attention here?
How many are on Zion?
1 now. So there's 1 on Zion and then 3 on the 20 scouts, but
he's like perched. He like lands on a branch of a tree and just pulls out his giant rail bow unfolds.
Good stuff.
Did we? I may have missed it. Did we describe the like gravity stuff at any point?
No one's used their like little beacon things yet.
Okay.
So no, we haven't.
Well, because Jerry just described like landing on a branch. So I assume there would be some sort of right.
Yeah, so maybe your entrance is we see we get this weird shot of a branch for no particular reason. You're like, something's gonna happen. We're looking at a branch. And then a little like metal pylon thing digs into the branch, and then all of a sudden we see Arlo like slam into it, not like ungracefully, but like basically hit it and then like perch on it. And then you whip out a huge bow. We see there's no string on the bow. And then what does it look like as you go to shoot it?
There's no string on?
Well, because remember the string is welded to the front, so it doesn't look like there's a string, right? It's magnetically sealed to the front, and then you use your special thing to
because if the magnetism was on, it would be pulled all the way up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just describe what we said earlier. So basically, it looks like there's no string. Then we see Arlo, his gloved hand touch the arrow. We see like sort of this similar like light blue, maybe colored harmony or whatever harmonic resonance is what I was looking for. And then the string just comes back super easily. Hi. The string comes back super easily, and then I guess you have an arrow, probably, right? A huge arrow.
Mm-hmm.
What do your arrows look like? Because they're very specials.
They're kind of like harpoon shaped, but like it has multiple like harpoon prongs going down it.
Sick. Okay. So yeah, we see you put one up against the side of the bow first. Then you use your gloved hand, pull the string back with the bow, and then what do you take aim at?
The one next to Arlo, and like underneath like the little hooks.
You mean next to Zion?
Of Zion, yeah.
I figured that's what you meant.
Yeah, underneath like the little hooks of each prong, there's like a little orange canisters with liquid napalm that inject once they're not inject, but explode on contact. Yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. Nice.
These are metal arrows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what else?
Literally and figuratively.
I knew someone was going to make a joke.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So
no dice from occupations anymore. Okay. So does medium range get a tag, or is that just a descriptor?
That's more of a qualifier for whether or not you get like the basic dice on it.
Okay.
And your medium range seems reasonable here. This isn't like a big area. So,
okay.
So it is dark, but I mean, we have those like little campfire illuminations. I think there are enough that you can see. It's not like super dark. So I'm trying to find character sheets. Every time I should do this, I just click on a million things and can't find it. All right. Yes, so you have acuity, that's 3. You've got your rail bow, that's 4. Yes. The penetrating and thermal both count because they have armor.
Okay.
So that's 6, and then so you're rolling 8 dice because they also have a drawback on their armor that gives you more dice for being
okay.
And then obviously the 7th dice was the last dice was the die fate.
So 8.
Yes, which is a significant roll for a beginning character, to be clear.
Yeah.
But that's why you guys are you're purpose built for this sort of thing. So
I still only got 3.
wow. Yeah, I mean, this could be a time you might want to. Well, I would say you could spend a bond point and reroll some stuff, but I don't know that it'll be necessary. There's only one of them left now. So he is going to. I mean, he doesn't say no, you're even there, but that's not what I have to do. Goodness. Yeah, I don't really know that he even justifies his acuity there because I don't know that he can dodge you. He definitely can't just take a ballista bolt to the face, so he can't fortitude it. So yeah, like we'll call it just the 1. 2. What was your die fate? A 3. Oh, so he gets 1 success for free.
Sorry.
All right, so they get 2 successes. So you don't succeed with style. Yes, very cool. So you don't succeed with style, great success, whatever I call it in this game, but you do succeed normally, which means you do 2 damage, just enough to kill him. So go ahead and tell us what that looks like when you hit him with the arrow.
I think it just goes all the way through him and like embeds itself into the ground, and then just fire spews from the prongs and engulfs it.
Nice, suitably dramatic, very cool. All right. So now it's going to go back to that other group that's attacking these scouts. They don't actually get their own turn because they're part of your your own character. There you go. we will go ahead and fight those dudes. So they get... All right, so they have disadvantage of this because they're outnumbered, but their dice pool isn't affected by that. So they get 2 successes, and you said you yelled out to them, right? When you on your turn, is that right, Zion?
I'm not Zion.
Yes, yeah. So I basically just said like they're here. I think that's the only thing I've said so far is like they're here, right when they are attacking me.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you can add your presence to this now because they're you're directing them in some way.
Right. So Arlo's arrow goes to the one like I was just about to attack, probably, right? And then,
Right. Yeah. You go to raise your weapon, and I mean if this was a show, it would be about to kill you inexplicably, despite you being better at it, and then it would just poof.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, here you go. So they're gonna defend themselves here. So you get your presence. They have their.
Does Arlo stay in the tree?
Yeah.
Good question. Okay. Yeah, you can move if you want. Yeah.
The tree's fine.
Yeah. So I probably just like look up and then just give him like a little salute and then like charge towards the other Hellbreakers, and I probably like at this point this is probably where they join me in the song, right? Because they hear me singing. I start attacking, and it's just a thing that happens with Hellbreakers, right? They notice someone singing like a war song, and they're all like, "Okay, let's do it!" Like, yeah.
Very cool.
Let me figure out what I'm doing for that. Yeah. So, is it Fortitude? You said still with like the attack I'm making.
Well, so actually, this is.
Oh, it's them attack. Them.
Stop slamming that, please. Yes, this is the scouts. So the scouts don't get their own turn, but this is the scouts defending against. Yeah.
Sounds good. Perfect.
Greater than 4. So they actually get 3 successes because the die of fate on the other for the attackers was a 3. So they take no damage, and now it is your go. Well, so this is basically like the top of the round when they went. So either of you can go. You guys don't have to necessarily go in like a fixed order. It's just basically it's like bad guys, you, bad guys, you, bad guys, you, and everyone can go once, right?
Yeah.
So either of you can go at this point.
Boom. Let's go.
Oof. 4 successes.
There was no narration in that. That's not how this game works. I
do the same thing.
Well, so this is
apparently
another group.
Oh, what? Yeah. I rolled a 6, so I guess I shoot 3 arrows at once.
Right, yeah. Well, so I mean, if we work this out and it happens to be exactly the same, we'll keep that roll. But all right. So, what are you doing? Would you like to describe what you're doing?
I'm shooting the other group.
Right. Okay. So the other group is currently engaged in melee with like 20 people, and there's only 3 of them. So this is a significantly risky shot to take.
Oh. Is there? Oh, okay. Is there anything else to shoot?
No. I mean, so and also your weapon doesn't have the danger drawback, so chances are pretty good you're not going to like kill them. You'd have to probably roll like a.
Oh. Okay.
If you got like a 1 on the die of fate, then maybe I'd be like, oh, you might hit your buddies. But mostly that wouldn't be a thing. And actually, I think that's how danger works, anyways. So that wouldn't work. But it's just going to make the shot harder, right? So, but I don't think they'll change your roll any. I'll just change their roll. So 3. You're doing QD, yep. And then you got your real bow. If that are any of the die fate, yeah. So 8, yep, that's all right. Okay. So and we'll deal with the die fate here in a second. So they basically trying to avoid it. No, at least you're. Okay, sorry. I'm just doing some math. And so this, I think this attack will have disadvantage just because, again, you're trying to pick your shots really carefully here and not kill your friends. Which just means that it'll do less damage, but if you roll really well, then it won't matter. So here's their roll. They get 2 successes. So this is a standard success. If you wanted to reroll this, you could try and get another success and not reroll. You could reroll parts of it. You don't have to reroll the whole thing. You could get more successes and succeed. Get a great success because you're only 1 off. It's 2 successes right now, and you need 3.
Why not?
All right. So go ahead and spend a bond. What is the trait that you're gonna? I'm sure you have one for shooting bows.
Every single one of them.
Yes.
Master.
Right. Perfect. Yeah, and I think that makes sense here because this is a difficult shot. You're trying not to kill your friends with giant fire arrows.
Oh. I got 3 extra successes.
Oh, buddy, there you go. All right. So you succeed with style, or you get a great success. Sorry, fate. So when you do the advanced move, great success. So you get disadvantage, which means you only inflict 1 damage. But when you get a great success, you can also pick one of these 3 things at the top here. So you can inflict an additional damage and do 2 damage, or you can create a temporary 1d6 tag, basically like get create a benefit. You could like suppress them or something, right? Or you could force the target to pick. It's like these guys don't have stress to spend. This stresses their health, so they automatically spend it. But if you're shooting at a normal character that has stress to spend, you could require them to spend it on a certain asset or whatever if they decided to spend it. So they can choose not to spend it, but if they wanted to spend it, they'd have to do the one you pick. So basically, you can target something on them, right? That's not really relevant here because they don't have. Wait, no, I guess they do. They do have armor, don't they? Hold on. Yeah. Yes, I should have used that on the other one. Okay, so it is actually relevant. They have armor, and you could basically damage their armor. So, but in this case, that's probably what they'll spend it on anyway. So it's kind of a waste of a thing. So I assume you just want to inflict additional damage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you kill 2 of. Wait, hold on. You do 2 damage. I'm actually going to have them spend a stress on their armor, which is the thing I should have had them do with when Caleb attacked them, but I forgot. So they did not do that. That's all right. They were just less intelligent zombies. So they actually you only kill 1, but you've damaged their collective armor, basically, right? I don't have the right block things to fill this out. Oh wait, no, I do. There we go. So you do kill 1 of them. So yeah, we see you take a much more careful sort of, maybe even multiple shots, and as you're trying not to kill all the people in the way. But you do tag 1 of them, and he bursts into flame. And I think we even see some of the flames sort of spread, and some of the chitin burns away from the armored, sort of armored carapace of the other guys. And that's you, Zion, unless you want to move, Arlo, but I assume you don't.
Tree.
Yeah. So I'm just leading the Hellbreakers, cutting through.
All right. So you turn around and lead the charge.
Yep.
Good stuff. All right. So that is. It doesn't matter. Acuity or fortitude, however you fight. You got your Hellbreaker scouts and their monster hunting. That's 4.
I'd say
you got
6.
your combat songs and Hellbreaker songs. That's 6. So 7 with the
7 with the die fate. Okay, yeah. Cool.
And they're severely outnumbered.
Gosh.
Oh no.
I got a 1.
They're severely outnumbered. Oh, and you gave them a success. They're severely outnumbered. So this is with advantage, but it might not matter.
This is terrible.
Oh, actually, rolling on a dice because they're combustible,
Mm.
and literally all of you have fire. So,
Well, 0 successes.
I mean, it was worth a try. All right.
Just a 1.
So they've got 5 dice to defend here. So if I say greater than 4, if I add, I'm just gonna try and see what happens. 1, 2. It did work. You can just add successes to the end. Perfect.
Fun.
All right. So because of the die of fate, they get an extra success.
Yeah.
So they get 3 successes, which one shy of great success there. So it's good that didn't happen. Yeah. So honestly, I think this is just a question of too many people. Like pretty much everyone here has got guns, and they're not being very. Your guns. The rifle butt does not do fire damage, so that they're being pretty ineffective overall. And you're the only one with a proper melee weapon, and they're basically in your way, right? So this is just not a good situation to have 20 guys with guns, right? And I mean, the zombies don't have any; they're just bowling into the middle of you. Right? They don't have any proper concern for their life, so they're not like keeping their distance, which would make them easier to shoot. And yeah, I mean, they're just going to lay into you guys.
Very good.
They're going to target you because you're actually in the fight now.
Yeah,
just makes a little more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I'm the one who started the like harmonic song. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. So
all of their creepy little yokai eyes turn to me.
Yeah. This is with disadvantage because they're significantly outnumbered, but cool. They get. I should have. I was meaning to give you an extra dice there, Jared, when you did your attack at the beginning for being hidden. Obviously, you're not hidden anymore, but
so that first one just died even harder.
But yeah, you blew them up anyways. And actually, I think I want to add hidden again because I think the assumption is that this was a permanent tag. So the assumption is if you go back out by yourself, you don't have to like re-roll unless the situation's changed dramatically, right? So if you just go back out into the jungle, we're just going to assume that you're still good at being hidden, right? Because this is a whole roll. I want this to be, it shouldn't be a thing that just goes away immediately unless you roll badly. All right, oops, got the R. Here's their attack. I did not expect this fight to take so long, so I apologize. So they get
it's good
3
to get
successes.
The system under us a little bit more and remember how it all works. So
they get 3 successes and they have a 6. So they can, cause irrelevant drawback to occur, or they can get a boost, or they can cause a twist. I'm just gonna say boost. I don't get to use that now, but it'll be on the table for the next round. In combat, boosts are the easiest thing to do because you're much more likely to run into these again and again in combat because there's a lot more rolls. So boost, all right. So go ahead and give me a defense. What does it look like as they basically just start flailing into you and like trying to claw their corrupting nails into your guys' suits?
Yeah, I'm just trying to rally everybody to like have a more organized defense. I'm basically like in between notes of the song, I'm like, to me, and then like I'm trying to be a leader right now, right? And just trying to like organize everybody into an effective fighting force instead of having everybody like wildly shooting into a melee.
The front guys shoot and then they kneel so the back guys can shoot. Do a musket line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So that that sounds like presence to me.
I mean, do they literally none of them have any melee weapons at all?
Ideally, you don't want to be in melee with these kinds of things because they're dangerous in melee. Sure. These guys, I didn't add any particular thing, but like probably just because you guys are all smart enough to be like pretty protected. But just generally, melee is a bad idea against a lot of these things. Now you have like a flamed sword and this kind of thing. It's not like your character's making a bad decision, but especially as scouts, like their job is not to get stuck in normally, right? They probably have like knives, but honestly, I don't think they'd be as effective, right? Because they're not thermal.
Right. I just mean like for any of them, because they're obviously bowling into the middle of all of us, right? The idea, I assume, would be that at least some of them would be pulling out knives instead, because instead of trying to
at this point,
fire rifles.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we'll go ahead and, I mean, you guys have advantage anyways because of the fact that there's so many of you. So yeah, 2 presents, scouts, monster hunting. You got your combat song and your Hellbreaker song. That's 6. 7 with the die fate.
Cool. All right, there you go. Oh, except I gave them a success with a die fate.
No.
So 1 over me, looks like.
Oh yeah, I forgot what was happening here. Okay.
Or wait.
And sorry, yeah. So I thought you were attacking. I'm defending. For some reason, I'm dumb.
I just realized.
So we'll just forget the 3. And because I was on the roll the die fate. So
got it. So I just got 3, and they got
3. So they tie. Okay. Which is what they get a boost. I don't remember. Advance on a caustic success is gain a boost. So they have 2 boosts. So they're gaining momentum. I mean, this is these are dangerous creatures. I mean, if they kill you, or like wound you, it's a very severe issue. Yeah. So they're fighting with knives, but also trying to like keep their distance, trying not to hit each other, right? And these things are just wildly flailing. But yeah, you do manage to keep from being injured, right? But they're sort of picking up momentum and just bowling through the center of you, kind of like almost like cavalry would, right? Where there's like they just hit them like a wave, right?
Even though there's less of them. Yeah, because I assume like with all the like weird spore shit, what am I trying to say? The fungal chitin. They're a bit taller than like the average dude, right? And so they're just like,
yeah, and they're probably heavier. Just by looking gaunt, they are heavier, right? Because they're made out of like chitin and like
fungal
hard
plates.
fungus stuff. Literally their flesh is like armor. It's just unfortunately for them flammable. But yeah. So yeah, what is this? I guess that was the top of the round again. So either of you can go again.
Let's have Arlo shoot.
I do a shoot.
You do a shoot. All right. Pretty sure this is your 8 dice again. I don't think anything has significantly changed. But now I think this is still a disadvantage because, I mean, they're in the center of these people now. Like, the only reason you can even make this attack is because you're on a tree.
3. I impale Caleb.
Yeah. All right.
My father will hear of this.
4 again. And you gave me a success. That was very kind of you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh man.
Oh,
that's
bad. This is just. I don't even think you shoot, right? Like you're tracking them, and it's just like everywhere you aim, there's just a hellbreaker in the way.
Yeah.
Hey, do you guys want to get out of the way?
Do you yell this over the distance?
Yeah.
That's usually yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And it's probably my turn now. So I think I probably like realize as much. I'm like, oh yeah, like So I think I turn to Kai and I basically just say, we need to get some distance on them. All men into the trees now. Right. So the idea is we're going to like clear out of the clearing so that Arlo has some good shots. And then maybe we can set up some shots in the trees. Right. So I just literally, I'm assuming you can, do we have like gauntlets or something that have these little like beacon?
Yeah. I imagine it's either like built into the suit, like in the arm or like a glove, something. Yeah. And it might depend on the person, right? They might have their own personal
like maybe
deployment.
Someone that might have a rifle that has it on the top of the rifle or something.
Yeah, they may have like an attachment on their gun. Yeah, it was whatever it is.
Yeah. So I turn with like my gauntlet, right, and shoot a beacon into the trees, and then suddenly pulled in that direction.
Yeah, and I think immediately we see everyone else does the same thing, right? Like it takes a little bit because they have to make sure they're not shooting at the same place so they don't hit each other midair.
Yeah.
But we see like in sort of an organized fashion, we see everyone.
Maybe we see Kai just like point around in an arc, like here's the point
Yeah.
that we're going to, and then everybody
Mhm.
like
Yeah, and I
sort of
think naturally, like this is a thing that they've probably done before.
Yeah.
So I think they naturally
It's
sort
like
of look at their
standard
formation. They're
maneuver.
like, yeah, like you always move out from the formation, right? So it's like if I'm in the back left of the formation, I go that way, right?
Yeah.
And so you're not likely to hit each other. But yeah, he's probably like directing that. Yeah. It's just, you heard him into the trees, and then he flies after you. Probably lands like on the branch on the same tree, but like on a different side.
And so I think this is probably like create a tag, right? I'm just trying to like set us up for a good.
Yeah. So maybe like
firing
high
line.
ground, something like that. Yeah.
Maybe like
I mean, this
clear
is
shot.
just. I really don't know that there's much they can do to like keep you from doing this. So I think it's more just a question of how organized,
how effectively
it
we
is.
can untangle from them, and
Yeah. So I don't think this isn't going to be very hard.
yeah.
Let's just do like a standard difficulty here.
All right, let's see.
I'm
assuming presence because that's more about organizing them. Okay, so 3.
And
Can I get 4 just for the scouts themselves, but probably not Do I get a dice for monster hunting?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if they. I mean, yeah, because you're setting up like a firing position. So I think in this case, just scouts. I don't think monster hunting necessarily. This is kind of. Yeah, I think in this case, we're sort of setting up a trap, but
even with my
is kind of part
songs,
of it, but
like if I switch to perception songs, would that help?
I don't think so in this case.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just organizing them right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4,
and then die fate.
Yeah, so 4 I think is total, right? With the die of fate.
That sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. Because it's just the scouts dice themselves and my presence.
Right.
Cool. And I think the idea I think here is like the scout dice is Kai hit particularly, right? Helping me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
And I mean, they're helping you set up sort of the advantage.
Yeah.
So. Nice. And you got it. So standard success, you get a 1 dice thing. And so as long as this is true, you can benefit from it. And technically anybody can benefit from it as long as it makes sense. So like Arlo probably doesn't.
Well, because Arlo is doing what we're doing right now, so I think that might help.
Yeah,
might make sense, right?
Yeah.
So my idea was I was gonna give the tag clear shot, right? So it's not necessarily about us being in the high ground per se, but more like everyone now has clear shots on the enemy in the clearing below us, right?
Yeah, like a kill zone. Yeah.
Yeah. Kill zone is a good one. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I like it. Good stuff. All right. Oh, sorry. That's a 1d6.
Then I yell across the distance, Arlo, do your thing now. But obviously they're going to be able to act before we do. So.
Yep. Yeah, it's their go. So they are going to try and basically like climb the trees after you guys. And so you're basically going to try and you tell me how you try and fend them off, but I assume you want to actively oppose them so that they stay in the kill zone.
Yeah.
But yes, they are going to try and basically they're going to make like an overcome roll and just try and like get into the trees with you. What they're really doing here is moving into another zone, but the movement is opposed, so it takes their action, right? Because you're going to be actively trying to keep them from doing that.
So my idea is, I think what we do is we pull like a reverse switcheroo on our beacons. We make them. We like reverse the polarity, and then we shoot them at the zombies so that they're pushed away from the beacon. So it's like, I don't know if this would work with the technology that we're thinking, but the idea is you shoot into a target and then they're pushed away from the metal that's in their chest, right? It's like pressing them from wherever your gauntlet is or something, right?
Yeah, I could see it. Maybe you have like a second one on your left and that one it'll interact with the other, right? That's cool. I like it. So let's see. This is going to be.
Yeah. What's the actual name for these little things that we're shooting? Is it beacons or pylons or what? Like how big are
pylon, but it sounds very sci-fi. I was imagining like, I don't know, like a golf ball. Like I'm because it's magic, so it doesn't need to have room for like gravity generators and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to look like, anything super overtly sci-fi. So I imagine
I was thinking kind of like a large like silver looking cylinder.
Okay, sure.
So it's like,
sounds good.
And then it kind of like sticks itself into
slivers.
Sliver. Yeah, sliver's a good word.
Yeah, that cool. It sounds good to me. All right.
So I'm yelling that to everybody. I'm like, slivers in them now.
Nice. All right.
And I'm starting to like grow slightly more, maybe not maybe confident isn't the best word, but like at least in the moment enough that I'm not like second guessing myself. I'm just
in the
making
zone.
decisions, and I'll probably feel bad about it afterwards if it goes wrong. But
no one's died yet, so all right. Here's their roll. Oh, geez. They got 2 successes, but you get a success automatically, and it's actually I'm going to use both my boosts here and roll 2 more dice, but because they want to get in the trees. But yeah, it doesn't change anything about what should happen, except for you can take a boost now if you'd like for after this.
Assuming I'm doing basically the same thing. I'm just organizing the Hellbreakers to do this.
Yeah, that makes sense. So they get 1 more success. So they're at 3, but you have 1 already. So, yeah. So it sounds like pretty much the same roll. 3.
4.
I'd say this probably is. I'd argue this could make sense as monster hunting.
Oh,
this
yeah,
is probably a thing you've. So it would be 4 anyways because you didn't have a die fate. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Fine,
Yeah.
So we'll ignore that other one. But you got 4 successes. Wow, nice, awesome.
Yep.
Okay. I was looking at my 1, and I was like, oh, you got a great success, but no, you still beat them though. Yeah. So we see them just without missing a beat. They just like scream towards the. Actually, you probably should have taken dice for kill zone too. Actually, go ahead and roll it. Is it possible for you to succeed?
Well, I did just roll an extra dice there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So you have 5 successes, and they had 3. It's still 2 over. But yeah. So they just without hesitation they just bolt towards the tree, and they are pretty effective climbers, but they don't get far because we see they're
just being pushed down.
Yeah, and like probably one comes towards your tree, and I think you see like someone from an opposite tree hits it, and it pins it to the tree, like it's making like a pushing. Yeah, from wherever he landed, so it pushes it into the tree, and then you shoot down, and it pushes it down out of the tree, right?
So we see like bark just scrape off of the thing.
Yeah. Yep. And then they're all like forced down into the ground, and they managed to roll because this isn't great. Well, actually, no. I got a 1 on my thing, so the boost can be that they're like struggling to get these things that are pushing them like off of their body, right?
Sure.
And so if you want to use your boost in the next round or whatever, that can be sort of the explanation for it. So let me throw a boost over on your guys' side here. Boost. Not to you guys. Either whoever wants to go.
Well, I set you up for this shot, Arlo. So.
All right. Yep, they're all more or less indisposed at the moment, so you should have an easy kill here.
Like rolling around on the ground trying to get these things off of them.
So I get 1 for line of fire thing that he did, right?
You get 1 for kill zone, and you can use the boost if you want. He just created. Sure. That's 2 more. So you're at 10.
Well, no. If it's 2 more dice, it'd be 11.
You're rolling 8 before, weren't you?
Yeah, 8 plus 1 plus 2. That's 11.
Well, I think he was saying kill zone 1, boost 1.
Oh, I thought you were saying the other one was worth 2.
Sorry. Oops, okay. I didn't mean to get rid of kill zone. Oh yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, you're at 10.
Yeah, you're at 10.
Oof.
3.
Appreciate it.
I'm using another.
How is this even?
I'm using another.
Yeah, go for it. Otherwise, this fight will never end. I mean, that's not true. You guys are making progress on it, but it'll be faster if you do that. And now you don't have disadvantage anymore, so you can finish the fight here if you do.
Oh, it's garbage.
Did you redo the whole thing?
2. Oh,
no. I just wanted to make sure you didn't re-roll the ones that succeeded. Okay. But 5 successes is pretty solid. We'll see how they do.
3 out of 10 and then 2 out of 7.
Yeah, I know.
That's insane.
You guys have been so unlucky.
The other day in our Burning Wheel game.
Connor now.
Yeah, the other day in our Burning Wheel game, Alyssa rolled 19 dice for an ob 5 and only got ob 4. Only got 4 successes.
Oh my gosh, I would have been so mad.
And that was like using a call on and fate and like all of that stuff, right? And she just never got that last success she needed.
That's awful.
Yeah, that's actually Connor level right there.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. All right, so you get a great success, which means you can increase it. So normally you would do 2 because you're standard, but now you're at 3. Or sorry, inflicts 2. You can choose to do additional damage, do 3 if you want.
Yeah. I just want to kill it.
Yes. So technically what happens here is you do 3 damage. They reduce 1 with their armor, which breaks their armor, but they only have 2 health left, and you do 2 more damage after that, and they die.
Okay.
So you kill them all. Good job.
Yeah.
So what does that look like as you finish them off? They're basically pinned to the ground by this weird silver like metal. And they're in your kill zone. So we kind of know what it looks like, but go ahead and describe it.
Well, I fire an arrow, and then the arrow goes into them. They die.
Very riveting description. Thank you, Jared.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I assume it's probably like they're rolling on the ground trying to get these slivers out of them, and then you just like shoot arrows into them, pinning them to the ground, and then just combusting, and there's just like little circles of like napalm as their bodies just roll around and die.
This is
Pinned to
why
the earth.
Caleb's an author. And
Yeah. Yeah, so I probably like saw, big sigh of relief, wipe the green blood off of my machete, put it back in.
There you go.
And then give you another like wave, like, thanks.
I'm gone
Good
for
stuff.
5 minutes, and you all try to kill yourselves.
I jump down. I'm like, I don't know what I actually say to that. I probably just
You tell me how. And maybe this is a question more for Arlo. What's your relationship with Kai? How well do you get along with Zion's right hand man? And you can just let me know. He's pretty professional, but he's got a barb for you here. I'm just trying to decide if he would say something, or if his professionalism would keep him from saying it. I think it depends on his relationship with you. So do you think they get along? I mean, again, he basically defers to Zion and everything, and I'm curious how that sort of rubs you, Arlo.
Wait, what does he say?
I'm wondering if what your relationship with Kai is. Are you guys friendly, or he's professional, but he also kind of just sort of ignores you. Like he seems to always defer to Zion, even when you would probably know better.
I don't think we know each other very well.
Right. Okay.
I'm usually off alone.
Yeah. So then I think he makes, instead of sort of implying anything out, he just sort of makes an observation, because it looks like they came from the direction you were traveling. Did you run into any others that way?
Nope. I found a cave. Cave's empty.
Is this the shelter that you were looking for?
Correct.
Good.
At least there's some good news. Yeah.
Is anyone hurt? We all good?
Yeah, there's some bumps and scrapes, but nothing serious. Yeah, and Kai, I think everyone's accounted for, just some battering, nothing severe, no breaches or open wounds, which I think is like the main thing, right? Like if your suit is breached and you get open wounds, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
But
so I nod, and it's at that moment where like all of my kind of like pseudo confident professionalism kind of fades, and I go back to being like the sort of nervous kid.
Marlo, what should we?
Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of like look to you, Marlo, and I'm like, so I suppose we should go to the cave then?
Unless you have any business here to attend to, yeah.
Right. Let's go get some shelter then.
Yeah, so you guys move through the jungle. I mean, you have hidden already. I'm not gonna like this is already a thing. You guys are scouts, you know what you're doing. I'm not too worried about it. You already killed the things that were gonna maybe see you coming here anyways. Although I do think we see you again, like Arlo points out that cluster of eye spore things in the tree that's on his route, and you guys again circumnavigate that. You don't want to be spotted by the fungal network or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we see you sort of set up your little polyhedrals up in this cave, and they don't make smoke, so you can just leave them on.
I'd like to think they're just like literally like a D20, just like
that's pretty much what I imagine, like a levitating dice.
Yeah.
Basically. Great. Do you guys do anything before you sleep?
Did my trap catch anything?
No. But for our own perspective, it's because the guys who just killed it were the guys who lived here, and so there's no one to come back. I mean, I guess there could have been an animal. Go ahead and roll. Just roll a d6 for me. 1 to 3 is no, and a 4+ is yes.
And a 1 is we all die.
No, it's not actually like a die of fate thing. Yeah. There's like a regular animal, right? So like we see what we would recognize as like probably like it probably looks similar to a pig, but like instead of a snout, it's got like a a diagonal
It's got mushrooms growing
chitin
on
or
its back.
kitten.
Chitin.
Thank you. And yeah, there's like some growths on it and stuff. And it's got like in the chitin, there's holes where it breathes through, that kind of stuff, right? But so it looks a little weird, but functionally it's a pig. And yeah, it's snared in there. It seems like it's still alive. It's making noise, which maybe isn't ideal.
Yeah, so I probably looked at you, Arlo. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, your traps are restraining, right? That's right.
And explosive.
Apparently. Yeah, I assume you didn't intentionally didn't put the explosive on this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
So I looked at you, Arlo, and I say, "Oh, is that one of yours?"
Dinner.
Now, can we eat these?
I just got a flashback to the swamp vendors. Looks like dinner. Yeah. So everything here that can be eaten requires a pretty significant amount of preparation, and mostly like you just have to burn the crap out of it to boil it first. But a lot of the stuff can be eaten, this included. So you probably want to scrape all of the like fungal growths off. You'd want to boil the meat probably in a way that makes it probably not very palatable, but won't kill you.
We have
it can be done.
Seasoning.
Yeah, and you guys are right. Yeah, you guys
that would
are
definitely be a thing that the Hellbreakers would invent. Is like super cool enchanted magic seasoning that makes like
it's just a song, amazing. Right? You just sing over the meat and it tastes good. Or is it a song you sing over yourself and no matter what you eat, it tastes good? Anyway, either way,
I think it would objectively make food better. It's not just for the person.
Fair, right? Okay,
yeah.
But yeah, so you guys have lived here long enough that you know how to prepare this kind of stuff.
I love the idea that it's literally like we say grace over the food and it literally becomes magically better.
That's cool. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we see something like that, right?
Yeah,
there's
everyone just kind of does a little bit of it. Yeah. Genuflect and a chant. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's probably a level of making it safer to eat too, right? Like, I mean, you can make it safe to eat mundane ways,
all
but this probably
purify food and drink.
This probably helps you sort of cover your bases. Like, it's not gonna. But yeah, so I assume we see Arlo do the dirty work, right? Stripping off its killing it, and like stripping off its chitin and gunk. I assume that's all you, right, Arlo?
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Do you guys do anything else before you go to bed? I assume you sleep in shifts anyways, but
yeah.
You probably want to set up like an alarm trap.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Set up some traps out in the distance. I mean, the explosions would be a pretty good indicator anyways. Yeah. Go ahead and make a roll with
trappies.
I don't think if it's acuity or willpower here. I think this might be actually more willpower. This is more about you setting up ahead, like your understanding of where to put things. So willpower, you've got your bag of traps. You're not doing damage with them yet, so they won't. Explosive area won't help you any as you're setting them up. But you do get a dice for the trap. So that'll be 4 with the die of fate. I actually have to run to the bathroom real quick.
Okay.
Just like you guys do when I
0.
leave. I am now the lord of the stream now. But I've basically always been that. You got a 0?
Yep.
Oh,
I'm rolling like Connor tonight.
Yikes. I only got 1, but that's enough. So if you're watching and you're enjoying the stream so far, go ahead and go over to patreon.com/CalebMPowers where you can find fun after shows, custom art that we've commissioned, for the characters. A lot of whole fun Elysian Road and Terra Invicta art on there. And anything that I make fiction or music wise goes up on there too. So there's a lot of fun goodies that you can grab for free over at patreon.com/CalebMPowers. Yeah, thanks for supporting the channel. You can also technically give on Twitch. You can subscribe on Twitch and get fun emote and whatnot. I need to make some more emotes for the channel so that y'all can get some fun ones. But there's at least one fun one on there. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. Jared, do you have anything you'd like to say?
What's an emote?
You don't know what an emote is on Twitch?
Nope.
It's just like
I've literally never used Twitch.
it's just a custom emoji basically that you can have for your channel. Like if you subscribe to the channel, you get this emote that you can use.
Fancy.
We have one of Seth's characters from one of the side stories we did in the original Terra Nullius run. Gret, you know Gret. It's Gret saying, "Oh yeah."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
Gret was the best.
Gret was pretty awesome. I think next week we'll be doing Laughing Shall We Die. So
That's what we said the last 3 weeks.
I know. This poor campaign is just not able to get off
promise. Don't promise the people anything.
Yeah. And you watch. By the time we get anywhere with Laughing Shall We Die, it'll be time to do Crownquisitors.
Yeah, it was funny because we did Laughing While We Died because we couldn't do Crow Inquisitors. But by the time we started Laughing While We Die, we could have started Crow Inquisitors because
pretty much
we couldn't do it for my school. And now we can't even do that one. We're doing a new one,
I mean,
which will now be the new one.
Yeah. The real reason we didn't start Crow Inquisitors right away is because there were several different schedule things up in the air. Adam wasn't free on Tuesdays as much as he was only free for like half the night. And then David might be getting a new job coming up in here in June. And then you were looking to get a job as a trucker. So, it's going to be like, if your schedule changed, then we would have to might have to rethink things anyway for Chrome Visitors. So, but you watch, we'll do the full big arc of Laughing Shall We Die. And then as soon as we try to do Crow Inquisitors, that's when all this schedules will change. So honestly, thinking about it now, I kind of wish we would have just done Crow Inquisitors and try to make them work. But
all right, sorry about that.
I just gave a promotion to everybody to go to Patreon and give me money. So
there you go.
Everyone mail pickles to Moscow, Idaho.
Oh man, that would be awesome. Yes. Honestly, feel free if you want to send me pickles.
No anthrax, please.
Yes, still sealed packages only.
Yes, indeed.
Great. You got a terrible roll, right? If I remember right.
There is no roll.
Yeah, great.
0 successes. Yeah.
So on a, I don't know what happens.
What is 3 highly statistical improbabilities in a row?
Very statistically improbable. I don't know. Yeah. So I mean, this is just you do it right. I don't even think it's necessarily that. As far as you know, they're going to be effective, right? You set these traps, you set them in good places, and you know what you're doing. We as players know that they won't benefit you any, but as characters, you don't know. So yeah, you go ahead and set traps, set a watch, and
I should have made them explosive so I could have more dice.
Hit the hay. Well, so they were explosive, but that would only help when you roll to kill somebody with them. So if someone stepped on them, then it'd be like, boom, this was you setting them, right? So, and I mean, you could have tags on it that are like, hidden or whatever, like, or they're hidden, but like if they're inherently easy to hide, then maybe that would have helped you in that role, right? Or whatever. But yeah, so we see you guys in ship. I mean, there's 22 people in this cave. It's not a big cave. There may not even be enough room if you'd all fit in here. You probably have like little like canvases basically. So I think maybe we see some of the scouts sort of pitching like a canvas, almost like a tent, but just as like a what do you call that? If it's just like a fabric roof basically over an open, like the front of a building. What is that called? Like a canopy, or it's not a canopy. There's a word for it. It doesn't matter. They basically extend the cave a little with this fabric, and because I don't think there's enough room for everybody to comfortably sleep in the cave, just because there's quite a few of them. But you all find somewhere to sleep, and then obviously some people post up. A couple of them shoot off into the trees for a watch, and we pass. The rain picks up pretty heavily. And it is still raining in the morning, heavily. And I think we even see runoff, right? Like there's like a little stream running down the hill where there wasn't the day before. And the ground is pretty much always kind of soggy, I think. And you guys awake. Well, so I guess you take shifts. We don't have time for anything to happen on your shifts. Nothing happens on your shift. It's pretty. Actually, here I'll tell you what. Both of you roll a 1d6 for me. Just a flat. 4.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, can you roll me a 1d6 too?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was out of the way.
No, you're fine. Actually, maybe I should have said. No, this is fine. Okay. 3. Okay. So now, Caleb, go ahead and give me just a flat. Or I guess it doesn't have to be flat. Let's see, 2. But I think it is. Go ahead and give me a flat acuity roll. Just your 2 dice. I guess 3 because die of fate.
With die of fate, okay.
Yeah, might as well.
2 successes.
All right. No 1 on the die of fate. Nice.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. So you see, you guys have a ways to go yet, but the range that this thing is supposed to live in is pretty big, and you are near that radius, right? So it could be anywhere in a pretty big swath of land, but you are near that, right? And you see, this is just where it was sighted, right? It might not even be here, but it probably is. And that was part of your mission briefing. They were confirming stuff, there's signs of something being strange here. And on your watch, is Kai take watch with you, or you? I assume you do this in shifts, right? Like there's more people than just you up, but you're up in a tree with somebody. Is it just a scout or is it Kai? I assume Arlo took a different shift, but
yeah, probably with Kai. That makes sense.
Okay.
So actually, it
see...
probably wouldn't, because Kai would probably be leading a different shift, right? So
true. Okay.
Because we're also so you just with one of the random scouts or whatever. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Doesn't really make sense for your 2 like right hand.
Yeah.
Right. One of the two of the 3 main leaders to be on the same shift.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's true. Yeah. Is there a naming scheme for Hellbreakers in general?
So as Asins, like if you're like a native born kind of Hellbreaker, it kind of typically I've done like Hebrew, but like it also kind of runs the gamut of like Latin and Greek and like some Egyptian and Persian as well, based on like that original planet that everybody came from, right? Because by the end of Hellbreaker sequence, right, we had like Last Watch, New Harmony, Recollection, Perihelions, and Hellbreakers all on the same ship, and they all became what would become the Hellbreakers. So any of those are viable. Like Xanatos, for example, is a Greek name. So
okay, what would Daedalus be considered as a name?
That is a good question. I would say Greek probably.
Yeah.
Let me see if
like Daedalus is a Greek name.
Oh, hey, apparently Okay, so Dallas is a Hebrew name.
Is a what name? Sorry.
DALIS. Yeah, Dallas, DALIS is a Hebrew name. So.
Oh, okay.
It looks like there is a surname that is like Dallas is a surname, but I don't know if it really has any.
That's fine. Here, I'll just I got a Greek name here. So
yeah.
So this so yeah, you're on watch with a woman named Diana who is native to this planet. I don't know if the Hellbreakers have been here long enough for her to have been born and like born a Hellbreaker here.
Right, native born to Skovrane, yeah.
Yeah, so she was either a native here and became a Hellbreaker, or she was born from Hellbreakers here. I don't know which
I see.
Time-wise makes sense. I don't know if we've been here long enough to have a new generation born here or not.
Well, if her name is Greek, then it makes sense for her to be a Hellbreaker born here.
Right.
If she's native here. So yeah, I mean, that's fine. We can say at least 20 years have passed or whatever, right?
Yeah, and she's probably pretty young, but and yeah, I don't know what natives. Or, no, she wouldn't be a native here because she's just born on the planet. That's all. So yeah, I don't know. She has brown hair, sort of sharp features, and she's just sort of like got her knife out and she's sort of picking it, just sort of like spore accumulation on her like outfit, her suit, I guess. So she doesn't seem like she's paying very much attention. And you see out in the darkness a shape that is much larger than any of the defiled you've ever seen. And it just doesn't, it moves too quickly to be one of them. And I mean, what do you do? Yeah, you just basically see it moving out between the trees.
Well,
not towards you, just kind of moving.
Yeah. I have perception songs, so I think I'll probably start singing one of those, right? And try to get a good look at it with my dark vision song, right, or whatever.
Yeah, cool, awesome.
I'm thinking 5, 6 with the help of my scout that I'm with here.
Yeah, you can go ahead and take your scout. Yeah, as you point out, she looks, and she probably starts to hum the same song.
Yeah.
I imagine you've taught these people a lot of songs.
Yeah.
So
well, only 2 successes. At least the die of fate was a good roll.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, so, I'll just do a basic, just to see how much you discern here. 2 successes. All right. So yeah, you can see, I mean, you get a twist. So there's a bad twist and a good twist at play here. The bad twist is as you peer it, like basically use your perception song, you can see it more clearly and you can see that it sees you, right?
Yeah.
It stopped when you started to sing, and
yeah.
Now it's far enough away that you wouldn't expect it. You didn't expect it to hear you, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But it stopped and it looked at you.
Do I get what's the good? Do I get a good enough look at it to know?
Yeah, the good twist is that it doesn't come towards you. I think probably because otherwise it might have. Unless you have another idea for a positive twist.
No, that's.
I'm
fine
glad that you're singing the ABCs, Glenn, but I'm trying to talk.
What does it actually look like?
Yeah, so you don't get a great look at it, but you can. I mean the devout that the devout that described it to you described it as crab-like, and it is kind of crab-like. It seems like a fair description. It has, you can tell it has 4 legs.
Oh, so this is the
come out. Yes,
okay,
they come out.
Right.
That's about what you can tell, right? It fits the description. It has these. You're basically looking at a silhouette, right? It's got 4 big legs and 2 huge arms, but they don't look properly shaped like an arm should. They're just coming out of where you'd expect an arm to come out of, but something's weird about them. And yeah, you can tell it sees you, and then for some reason it holds your gaze as you're like basically looking at its eyes, right? And it's got sort of like a sickly green glow, and it's otherwise like sort of empty, sunken eye socket. And that's I think the only detail you can make out because it's light, right?
Yeah.
Other than its silhouette, and then it just bolts off towards the direction you were intending to travel later, right? Towards wherever it lives, presumably.
Okay.
Yeah, so you see it just kind of vanish behind a tree and like dart off into the night.
Here's the question. I have 2 options. Either I let it go and we just like move, go to sleep and follow, or I get Arlo right now and we go after it immediately.
Yeah, those are both options. It seems pretty fast, but I mean, this is what you do. So you could,
exactly.
And Marlo can track. So yeah.
I just say really briefly to the scout next to me, I just say, we were looking for it and it found us. Arlo!
Nice. Yeah, what do we see from Marlo? You hear your name just bellowed in the night you're sleeping.
Awake. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in a little hammock he set up. And he had just like opened his flask, and then he seals it away, puts it in his pocket.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm down. I like stepped down from whatever rock I was sitting on or tree I was in or whatever. I don't know if we had a description for where we were actually scouting or observing from, but Arlo finds me at
just a tree, I think.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So I jump down from that. Arlo finds me at the mouth of the cave once he, grabs his bow and like comes after, right? And I basically just like I think honestly I sling a pack across I had like my pack that I'd grabbed from the tree, and I just have it in my hand and I sling it over my shoulder, and I just look to you, Arlo, and I'm like, we're going after it. The Malavim was watching us, made a bolt for wherever we were. Is there was it like a temple or something that we were headed to? What was the location we knew it was in? For some reason, I imagine like some sort of weird overgrown fungal temple. But
yeah, there's probably a place. One second. So there's probably a location that it's centered at, but they basically were just telling you like it's been sighted in this region.
Sure.
So I don't know if you know if it has it probably has a lair, but you probably don't necessarily know what it is.
Yeah. So I'll just say like, it's probably heading back to its lair. We're going out right now. The scouts can follow after Kai organizes them. And then I just like point the gauntlet and just start yanking myself out into the jungle.
Nice. That's probably where we'll leave it, I think, because it's 10-12 and it's a good spot. Because I mean, if you actually fight it, it'll be a whole other thing.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's we see you. Do all the scouts come with you too, or?
Well, so my idea was that if we pick up next time, right, we would do a chase with the thing.
Okay.
And just me and Arlo, and then the scouts are being organized by Kai to come after us, so they might show up at a dramatic moment. But like the idea is, we need to go now. We can't organize the whole the whole squad. Like you and me right now, we're going after it, and then the rest can follow.
Okay. And I think Iana insists that she comes with you because then you'll have your asset with you. She's like, I want to come too.
And like,
because she's yeah. So cool. And then let's see.
I put my machete in my sheath. We travel light.
There you go.
Leave all that can be spared behind.
Excellent. Yeah.
Let's hunt some spores.
Looks like mushrooms back on the menu, boys.
Cool. Awesome.
Great. So technically, I should have had you guys do this earlier, but goals are a thing in this game.
Yes.
But I mean, this is first session, no big deal. I think I even say that for the first couple sessions, you should allow people to write their goals at the end of the session. Because oftentimes you have no idea what you're going to do until you've done it in the first couple sessions. So go ahead and look at your drives, see if there was an appropriate goal that jumps to your mind, and write it in there. It doesn't have to be something you completed. It could be something you worked on. You won't miss out on XP for not having completed it. This isn't like you want to complete every single session. You basically want to make sure you're completing a goal at least every 3 sessions. But as long as you're doing that, you're not missing out on XP. So don't worry about it making it something silly, so so short term that you couldn't have not done it.
Oof. Why is it not
hold on. Let me see if I can. It should be doing. There we go. I got it.
Perfect.
I don't know why it literally had that setting already. It just wasn't doing it.
Yeah. So my goal for I guess we didn't even we don't think we read off drives at the beginning. So
oh shoot, I guess I should have had you.
Oh yeah, we probably should have read off like character traits and stuff too. Yeah. Well, here at the end, I'll just go ahead and read off mine. Right. So Zion is a Hellbreaker scout. His trouble is too close to the sun, so he can get a little bit reckless with the stuff that he tries.
Ooh, maybe I should have compelled you.
Yeah.
Let's pretend that last thing that happened was a compel, and you can get a bond point for it.
Oh, to like go after it. That's actually what I was kind of thinking. Right. Is that basically my whole idea here is that. I'm too. It's not that I'm overconfident about like our chances with it. It's that I want I want to know what it is. It stared directly at me and then ran away. Like I'm very curious about everything that's happening here, and I want to find it out now. Too close to the sun. I also have the traits Magical Mystery Investigator and 12 lane, which means basically I'm like nobility And then my drives are, my elders tell me the Discordia should not be trifled with, but it must be mastered to be destroyed. And then I think my goal for that one would be the Malavim can tell us more than just how to kill spores. It can teach me its secrets. And then my drive, my heritage is stifling me and I must get out from under its pressure. And I think my goal here was basically about I will find a way to be a good leader without relying on my inborn nobility. And then my drive, Skovrane is important in the war with the Tannerin. I must discover its secrets. And then my goal there was we will find the defiled Malavim and learn its weaknesses. So
awesome.
I don't know if I got any stuff off that, but
yeah. So it can teach me its secrets basically means like you're going to learn from it, right?
Yeah, like Discordic stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff I'm not
supposed to learn. Let's see. I mean, you were hunting it, so it works for me. I'm going to be pretty generous with these because you're meant to be able to accumulate them. So
sure.
Finding a good way to be a leader without relying on my invulnerability. So
like I could change that too. I'm having a trouble finding exactly. So my thing this session, right, was like I was constantly deferring to Arlo, and I was I don't think my character usually ever tries to be arrogant or kind of entitled about his position. But I'm not sure really how to work on that in the game, I suppose.
Well, I mean, we saw you sort of, I guess ease into it when you were in conflict, right? Like something worked right when the chips were down, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, I think that exported enough that we can, look into that more and sort of,
sure,
maybe he can learn to harness that and like be confident even when he's not in danger.
Yeah.
Works for me.
And then the last goal was basically just doing the mission, right? Like the way it's supposed to be done. So
right, yeah, good stuff.
And obviously,
yeah. And I mean, the first one is pretty similar, but we saw you reading the manifest and stuff, and you created an advantage there. So I think either way, I think it's all good. And then you want to lead the scout safely through the jungle? Sounds good. I'll hunt the Malavine and claim the trophy to add my collection. Cool. Zion may be the only one who can find these creatures' weaknesses. I'll keep him safe until he does. Cool.
Cool.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, Jerry, do you want to read off your traits and drives and goals and stuff for the
Yeah.
stream?
Oh, and real quick, how many times did you guys re-roll? Did anybody re-roll? I feel like Jared did twice, right?
I did not
Yeah.
at any point.
Okay, so then
I did 2.
I
think so,
forgot
yeah.
that was a thing.
Oh, you're fine. So you have 4 bind points, then Caleb and Jared has 2. There's refresh in this game. Basically, if you're under 2, the next session you'll go to 2. If you're over 2, you just stay. That's sort of the intention. Or I might have it be where if you're under 2, you go up to 1, but you don't get it. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. It's just a balancing question. But for now, it works right. Refreshing fate. All right, go ahead and Jared. Go ahead and read off your traits and your.
Change my trouble because it's not ever going to come up.
That's
especially because he has napalm arrows. Like,
and it's not like your bow is any worse. It's arguably better.
Yeah. Is it about his kind of like he has like a 1 in presence, right? Like, is it something about social stuff?
Well, and it could be tied into the same thing, right? Because the idea is that you're eschewing this convention that everyone else does, and that could have something to do with your.
He wants to make the hunt like fair. Is his thing.
Okay, cool, yeah, and maybe
that's why his traps don't aren't expressly to kill.
Right. Maybe that's sort of a point of contention between him and his compatriots, right? Where he has just a different mindset about everything out here, basically. Which would be a good trouble. I don't know how you want to say that, maybe, but
I mean, honestly, I eschew
my own
convention
path or something.
yeah,
that's good.
Right, like
either way.
I only heard half of what both of you were talking at the same time.
Yeah, like disregarding convention or something, right? Would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I said my own path, and Caleb said I defy convention, or something like that.
However you would word it.
Yeah, it's up to you, but I like those as concepts. There
you go. You
can defy convention all you want, but I'm still going to capitalize these.
What a Jared move, defying convention by not capitalizing anything that should be capitalized.
Right, so high concept, Hellbreaker, Huntsman, Trouble, I defy convention, General, Master Archer, and there's always a bigger fish.
Cool.
And drives and goals.
Drives. This world has been my greatest challenge yet. I will conquer all it throws at me. None of my demon kills count until we learn how to kill their souls so they can't come back. So I must find out how to snuff them out permanently. Dayla suspects a lot from me. I will do my best to keep us all from dying. Goals. Lead the scout safely through the jungle. I'll hunt this Malvane and claim a trophy to add to my collection. Zion may be the only one who can find these creatures' weaknesses. I'll keep him safe till he does.
Sweet.
Good stuff. And then the way that the XP works for this is basically each session that you work on one of these goals, it'll bank one of these pie things. It can fill up to 3, and then it starts to it doesn't accumulate any more than that. Once you complete it, you get XP for each pie that's been filled. So if you were to have completed it today, you'd get 1 XP. If you do it 3 sessions or 2 sessions from now, you'd get 3. If you did it 4 sessions from now, you'd still only get 3. So that's the idea, right? You want to complete these quickly, but you don't have to worry about doing them in 1 session. And then once somebody does that, I'll explain the second half of the XP thing, because I don't want to explain it all at once. That might be a little confusing. It's not necessary right now. So once someone completes a goal, I'll talk about drives, basically how they give XP. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Cool.
That's all our bookkeeping. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us. That was cool. It was fun to watch you kill some zombies.
Yeah. Lots of fun lore bits to explore. So
yeah, yeah. I like the setting. I like these characters. I think this will be fun. Yeah. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Same bat time, same bat chance.
That's just not accurate. You need to bring that back. It's not accurate though. We're so inconsistent with when we play and what we play when we actually do play. So
yeah, probably different bat channel, maybe same. I mean, same time ish, but probably not.
Most
right
most
day.
TV shows don't just randomly start a half an hour later for no reason, or half an hour
Yeah,
earlier for
you
no
know,
reason.
it's
Well, there's a
fine.
reason, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Google.
Anyway, this has
Thanks.
been Tears of Skovrane. Thanks for GMing, David. That was very fun.
Yeah, thanks.
enjoyed
I'm
myself.
glad. It was my
And-
pleasure. It was fun too.
We're out. Adios.